Hello dear learners, I'm Dr. Asya Mudassir. In the previous video, we discussed about the vision of teacher education curriculum in the curriculum documents of NCERT at elementary, secondary and higher secondary levels. So today, we will discuss the similar topic, the vision of teacher education curriculum in the curriculum documents of NCTE, National Council for Teacher Education. This vision of teacher education, NCTE, focuses on preparing professional, reflective, and socially responsible teachers who can meet the diverse needs of learners, who can support meaningful, inclusive, and learner-centered education at different stages of schooling at elementary, secondary, and higher secondary levels. So far as NCTE is concerned, it mainly provides guidelines, standards and frameworks for teacher education programs such as DLED, Diploma in Elementary Education, BEd and MEd, ensuring that teachers are trained according to national educational goals. According to the vision of teacher education promoted by National Council for Teacher Education, the teacher at the elementary level plays a crucial role in shaping the early learning experiences of the children. At this stage, the teacher is not merely a transmitter of knowledge, but a guide, facilitator, and a caregiver who supports children's intellectual, emotional, and social development. Thus, the teacher should understand the needs and psychology of the children, create a friendly and supportive classroom, encourage participation and curiosity. So let's discuss them one by one. So the first objective is understanding the needs and psychology of the children. Let's discuss it. At the elementary stage, children are naturally curious, energetic, and emotionally sensitive. Therefore, teachers must understand the children's developmental needs, interests, and learning styles. This understanding helps teachers adapt their teaching methods so that the learning becomes meaningful and comfortable for the young learners. For example, imagine a child who constantly asks questions during lesson about the sky and the stars. Instead of discouraging the child, the teacher appreciates the curiosity and may ask the class, "What do you think stars are made of?" The teacher may then show the pictures of the stars or the short animation explaining them. In this way, the teacher encourages the curiosity while responding to the child's psychological need to explore and question. The next objective at the elementary level is to create a friendly and supportive classroom. Young children learn best in an environment where they feel safe, respected, and emotionally supported. A friendly classroom atmosphere builds confidence and reduces the fear of making mistakes. Teachers should maintain warm interaction, patience, and encouragement, ensuring that every child feels valued. For example, suppose a student makes a mistake while reading a sentence aloud. Instead of criticizing the student, the teacher might say, "That was a good try. Let's read the sentence together once more." The teacher then reads with the student and helps them to pronounce difficult words. This approach supports learning without damaging the child's confidence. Another example, a teacher may start the day with a short sharing time where students talk about something interesting they experienced at home. This builds trust and a sense of belonging in the classroom. Next objective is encourage participation and curiosity. One of the most important roles of a teacher at the elementary level is to actively involve students in the learning process. Instead of passive listening, children should participate in discussions, activities, and exploration. Participation helps children develop confidence, communication skills, and independent thinking. For example, while teaching about different types of food, the teacher may ask students to bring pictures of their favorite food from magazines or newspapers. Students then share their pictures with the class and explain why they like that food. Through this activity, students participate while actively learning about food categories and nutrition. Another example, during a lesson about weather, the teacher may ask students to observe the sky for a week एक हफ्ते के लिए and report whether the day was sunny, cloudy or rainy. Students become active observers of that environment, which makes learning more engaging. So in conclusion, we can say, according to the teacher education vision of National Council of Teacher Education, teachers at the elementary level must go beyond traditional instruction. They should understand child's psychology, create supportive learning environment, and encourage active participation and curiosity. By doing so, teachers help children develop confidence, interest in learning, and strong educational foundations for future stages of schooling. Now, let's discuss the next level, vision at the secondary level. According to the teacher education vision promoted by NCTE, the teacher at the secondary level plays a significant role in developing students' analytical thinking, questioning ability, and deeper understanding of knowledge. At this stage, students begin to think independently, question ideas, and relate knowledge to real life situations. Therefore, the teacher's role shifts from simply explaining content to guiding students towards critical understanding and meaningful learning. So, let's discuss its objectives one by one. The first objective is encouraging questioning and discussion. At the secondary stage, students should be encouraged to ask questions, express opinions, and participate in discussions. Questioning helps students clarify doubts, challenge assumptions, and deepen their understanding. Teachers should create a classroom atmosphere where students feel comfortable expressing their ideas without fear of criticism. For example, while teaching a lesson on environmental issues, the teacher may ask the student, "Why do you think plastic pollution is increasing even though people know it's harmful?" Students may give different answers such as convenience, lack of awareness, or poor wastage management. Through this discussion, students learn to analyze causes and consequences rather than memorizing the facts. Another example, in a literature class, the teacher may ask students, "Do you think the main character in the story made the right decision? Why or why not?" Students discuss different viewpoints, which develops communication and reasoning skills. The second objective at the secondary level is connecting lesson with real life situations. According to NCTE's vision, learning becomes meaningful when students can relate academic knowledge to real life experiences. Teachers should therefore link theoretical concepts to everyday situations that students observe around them. For example, in economics, when teaching the concept of demand and supply, the teacher may discuss why the price of the vegetable increases during certain seasons. Students can relate this concept to what they observe in the local markets. Another example, in geography, when teaching about water conservation, the teacher may ask students to observe water usage in their homes and suggest ways to reduce wastage. This connects classroom knowledge with practical environmental responsibility. Next objective is helping students analyze and think critically. At the secondary stage, students should develop the ability to analyze information, compare ideas, and form logical conclusions. Teachers guide students in examining different perspectives and evaluating evidence before forming opinions. For example, in a history lesson about industrialization, the teacher may ask students to analyze how did industrialization improve people's lives and what problems did it create. Students might identify the advantages such as economic growth and disadvantages such as environmental pollution. Another example, in a science class, the teacher may present two different sources explaining climate change and ask students to compare the arguments and identify which explanation is more convincing and why. This encourages analytical thinking and evidence-based reasoning. So in conclusion, we can say, according to the vision of teacher education promoted by NCTE, teachers at secondary level must act as facilitators of inquiry and critical thinking. By encouraging questioning, connecting learning lessons to real life, and guiding students in analysis, teachers help learners become thoughtful, informed, and responsible individuals. So now let's discuss the next stage, that is the vision of NCTE at higher secondary level. At the higher secondary stage, the teacher education curriculum prepares teachers to guide students towards advanced learning, research orientation, and career development. So the role of the teacher should be as the facilitator, mentors, and guides for independent learning. So let's discuss each objective at this stage one by one. So the first objective is teacher as a facilitator. At the higher secondary stage, the teacher's role is to facilitate learning rather than dominate the learning process. A facilitator creates opportunities for students to explore ideas, investigate topics, and actively participate in learning. Instead of simply delivering the lectures, the teacher encourages inquiry, discussion, and exploration of knowledge. For example, in a sociology class studying social change, the teacher may ask students to observe changes in their local community over the past decade, such as changes in occupations, changes in the technology used, or changes in the lifestyle patterns. Students present their observations in the class discussion. The teacher guides the discussion and helps students connect their observations with sociological concepts. Another example is in a physics class, instead of directly explaining a concept related to electricity, the teacher may ask students to experiment with simple circuits using batteries and bulbs and discuss their observation before explaining the theory. Here, the teacher facilitates learning by guiding exploration. Next objective at the third level is teacher as a mentor. At this stage, students often experience academic pressure and uncertainty about their future. Therefore, teachers should act as mentors who provide guidance, encouragement, and emotional support. A mentor helps students identify their strengths, build confidence, and overcome academic challenges. For example, suppose a student is interested in writing but lacks confidence in public speaking. The teacher encourages the students to participate in school debates or essay competitions and provide constructive feedback. Over time, the student develops confidence and communication skills. Another example, a teacher notices that a child excels in logical reasoning. The teacher suggests participation in mathematical olympiads or analytical competitions, helping the student recognize and develop their potential. Next objective is teacher as a guide for independent learning. At the higher secondary stage, students must gradually become independent learners who can explore knowledge beyond textbooks. Teachers guide students in developing research habits, self-study skills, and intellectual curiosity. For example, instead of explaining every topic in detail, a teacher may assign students to read different academic articles on renewable energy sources and then present their findings to the class. Students learn to search for information, analyze sources, and communicate their ideas independently. Another example, in a psychology class, students may be asked to observe human behavior in everyday situations, such as cooperation in group activities, and write short reflective reports. This helps students participate in independent observation and critical reflection. So in conclusion, we can say, according to the vision of teacher education promoted by NCTE, teacher education, teachers at higher secondary level must move beyond traditional instruction and become facilitators of learning, mentors for personal development, and guides who help students develop independent thinking and lifelong learning skills. Through these roles, teachers prepare students not only for examinations but also for higher education and responsible participation in society. So at last, let me show you the difference between the NCERT vision that we discussed in the previous video and the NCTE vision that we discussed in this video. The main aspects of the difference are primary focus, main objective, area of work, target group, and approaches. So far as the primary focus of NCERT vision is concerned, it focuses on school curriculum, textbooks, and learning processes for students. And the primary focus of NCTE vision is it focuses on teacher education, training, and professional development of teachers. While as the main objective of NCERT vision is to improve teaching learning processes and student learning outcomes, and the main objective of NCTE vision is to prepare competent, professional, and reflective teachers. The area of work as per NCERT vision is to develop national curriculum frameworks, syllabi, and textbooks, while as the area of work as per NCTE vision is to regulate teacher education programs such as DLED, B.Ed, and M.Ed. The target groups in NCERT vision mainly focuses on students and school education curriculum, whereas the target group in NCTE vision it mainly focuses on teachers and teacher education institutions. So far as the approach is concerned, it in NCERT vision it emphasizes child-centered, activity-based, and constructivist learning, whereas the approach for NCTE vision it emphasizes professional competence, pedagogical skills, and teacher ethics. So this was all for today. Thank you.